My name is Filip Suchta. I'm a branch director and country head of Q Securities Malta branch. Q Securities is a Polish-based investment firm with licenses for safekeeping of financial instruments and providing depository services in Poland, Luxembourg, and since 2023 in Malta. As I mentioned, we are established in Luxembourg as well. So the first step in our international development was Luxembourg, where we set up our branch in 2020. And from the beginning, our idea was to find niches in the market, find the players, find fund promoters that are unable to find a depository service and service them. And we immediately saw Luxembourg as having this gap in the market where smaller emerging fund managers were finding it very difficult to find a depository service partner. And we aimed to fill in that gap. And after a while, we've seen that Luxembourg as a whole is becoming less and less accessible to these emerging fund managers, which were our sweet spot. So basically we thought, okay, we must be somewhere else. There must be a viable alternative to Luxembourg. And we shopped around. I won't say that Malta is our only choice. We looked at other jurisdictions as well. But when we decided, okay, we need to be in a different jurisdiction, there has to be a different jurisdiction that will be able to be a place for these emerging fund managers. We obviously wanted to find a place that is English speaking, that has an excellent level of regulation, that has a regulator that is transparent and open, and basically where we could feel the right vibe, so to speak, that we would find the right partners that have the same approach as us, that believe in the development of the European fund market. And I have to say that once we visited Malta and we met with the regulator and we met with the market players there, some of whom are our cherished partners today, there was no other choice. I mean, we knew that Malta is the place to be. We are quite happy, I will say. I mean, obviously we're very ambitious and, there's always this strive for more and more clients, more business. But I think this first year was a very, very good experience for us. We've managed to build a strong presence on the island, build key relationships with market players, with the regulator, and acquire first clients. Now, what we're really excited about is we view this first year as building and laying the groundwork for making a real success of our Maltese story, which we aim to do this year and in the following years. Historically, Malta has been viewed as a hedge fund jurisdiction, but I would say, and that was my idea as well before we moved there, before we decided to open a branch there. But I will say that definitely the past couple of years were a period where the Maltese fund industry have gained much versatility. And of course, it's sort of our story as well. We service 250 funds in all three jurisdictions, and we've seen every type of strategy there is, from liquid, listed securities, private debt, bonds strategies, real estate, private equity, venture capital, digital asset fund recently. That experience that we have allows us to be I'd like to think, a very good depository that we are. And it's the same for other service players. Once they gain experience, and they already have gained experience in Malta, they're able to service any type of strategy. So they're able to be agile and flexible and adapt to the needs of the client. I wouldn't be able to say that Malta is the perfect place for a particular investment strategy. I will say that it's not even a question of strategy, it's a question of your moment of development. If you want this personal touch, if you want somebody that will be flexible, that will adapt to what you want, and will combine their forces with yours to make your fund a success, then Malta is definitely the place to be. But I would say that as a jurisdiction, Malta is really investment strategy agnostic. It doesn't really make a difference. They will perfectly service a fund that is investing in private equity or venture capital, as well as a real estate fund or a listed securities fund. That's a very, very good point, because that's similarly to the way we see Malta. I mean, our sort of ideal business development model is where a client comes to us and set up their first or second fund with us in Malta, and then sort of graduates toward Luxembourg. As he gets bigger, as he has more assets under management and seeks to attract the largest clients. Because I don't think that, I still don't see Malta as competition to Luxembourg. To us, at least at Q Securities, I would be competing with my Luxembourg colleagues, which I really like and I know what to do. But what we see is that the Maltese offering and Malta's jurisdiction is a complement. to Luxembourg, because obviously the way we see it and the way we see the development of the European fund market is that the need for fund hubs is there and will be there. I mean, most local markets aren't really suited to help you sort of passport throughout Europe and and do fundraising. So and with Luxembourg and Ireland sort of being the top tier jurisdictions, becoming less and less accessible to emerging fund managers. They increase year on, they increase the number of assets you need to have for them to even consider you as a client. I mean, it should be the other way around. You're a client, they should be fighting for you, but it's actually you fighting for a service provider. So we believe there is a need. There is a need definitely for a fund hub that would be servicing emerging fund managers, and Malta is perfectly suited to be one. I would say the last 10 years were like teens, like the teen years of everyone. They're a bit turbulent, but it's definitely a period of maturing. You try out new things, you introduce new legislation. There's a period of rapid growth, as in every teenager's life. But in the end, after this 10-year period, I think Malta has a very strong regulatory backbone, so to speak. So it's not a jurisdiction that I would say you can go looking for no regulation, sort of the wild west or the wild south, looking geographically. It's not that. I mean, it has a very strong regulatory requirements, and all the market players are there up to par with the best standards in the EU. At the same time, it has still tested a lot of fund structures, like the notified AIF was a tremendous success, and everybody's looking at the notified PIF as the sort of another weapon, I would say, in the Malta's toolbox. And definitely what I like to see, and what I'm seeing already, is that there's constant work from all the stakeholders to constantly develop what Malta is offering. So if we see that, for example, Luxembourg is offering a special limited partnership, which is very popular, there's immediately workings going on in Malta to have that added to the Maltese toolbox. So that's something that I like to see. And again, sort of coming back to the point I made about this sort of need for a fund hub for emerging fund managers, that's where we see Malta. Is that every stakeholder, I think, sees Malta as the place to be for these emerging fund managers, and I think making sure that we're sort of constantly on top of things, and we're able to offer clients not only the best regulation, not only the best service, not only we're able to service all the investment strategies, but we're not losing this this personal touch. We're not losing the fact that you are not interacting with a faceless corporation, but rather you can pick up a phone and speak to the person that is taking care of your fund whenever you have a problem. I think that's sort of the way to go about this, and I think that's the right way to evolve the funds ecosystem in Malta. We had situations like that before. I've spoken to clients that decided to set up their first fund in Malta. The second fund was launched in Malta as well. And actually the fundraising was going so well, and investors were happy. And of course, it was much nicer for them to go to a board meeting in Malta rather than Luxembourg or Ireland, which are not famous for the weather. So they decided to stay in Malta. They really enjoyed that connection that they built and the relationship that they built with local market players. I think obviously, even though in most cases, fund managers will view Malta as a launching pad, as a starting point for their sort of development of their funds. I think a lot of them will consider staying because as Malta develops and sort of matures itself as a fund jurisdiction, it might become the place to be for also developed fund managers, not only emerging ones. Not all fund managers should consider Malta. I would be happy for every fund manager to consider Malta and just sort of have it on the table as an alternative. Because right now I don't think, from my personal experience, there's not a lot of difference between Luxembourg and Ireland. Maybe aside from the beer that they offer, but looking at the fund structures and sort of the level of service, they're quite comparable. But they're still dedicated to, I would say, the largest players. Aside from the weather, obviously, that's a major difference. but looking at the more practical and business side, I think what I mentioned about the personal touch. My experience in Luxembourg, and I've been setting up and helping structure funds in Luxembourg for over 10 years, is that There's a lot of rotation there. There's a lot of changes in various service providers. And of course, if you're not the biggest client, you sometimes might feel a bit left behind. Now you feel in your own country, be it Czechia or be it Poland, you might feel you're a success because you've gained a couple of million euros, you achieve good results for your investors, and you expect to be treated this way. You know, you're a fund manager, you're managing millions of euros. And in Luxembourg, you sometimes may feel a bit left out and like not the highest priority client if you're sending an email and nobody responds to it for like a couple of weeks. Now that's not the case in Malta. I think that's the biggest difference. You can talk about regulation, we can talk about structures, we can talk about the regulator. Now that's a different in itself. CSSF is known to be quite, I would say, conservative, and the MFSA is definitely more approachable than the CSSF. But I think the key issue is this personal connection that you can build, that you can actually meet with those people and they will take good care of you.